Welcome, Chun. Thanks for joining us today. I'm very happy to see your face, and I'm excited to listen your presentation and have a conversation with you. And thanks so much again for making time and joining with us. To start our Decolonial Critic Lab today, I will read a little bit about myself, what Decolonial Critic Lab is, then I will read a small biography and introduce you to everyone. So let's start. My name is Ali Asgar Tara. I use they, them, and she, her pronoun. I'm a Bangladeshi transgender artist currently based in Brooklyn, New York. In my visual art practice, I combine video, text, drawing, and community performances to create political, site-responsive, and cross-disciplinary collaborations. This semester, as an artist in residence at the University of Connecticut's Asian and Asian American Studies Institute, I'm leading regular encounters through the Decolonial Critic Lab, a bi-weekly meeting discussion designed to provoke critical discussion among the student and the faculty community of University of Connecticut, which aim to examine the connection between decolonial methods and how Asia has been constructed, represented, mediated, and conceptualized by artist, curator, activist, and scholar across the globe at the end of 20th century and early 21st century. It is my great honor to invite Chun Hua Catherine Dong today to the Decolonial Critic Lab to share her work and practice with us. Chun is a dear friend, an amazing artist and thinker in her own right, and her multidisciplinary practice pushes the boundaries between medium, narrative, and identity. Chun uses emerging media to tell a story and let us peek into her world, her belonging through clever use of VR and AR. Chun Hua Catherine Dong goes by she and they, is a Chinese-born, Montreal-based artist working in performance, photography, video, VR, and AR. Dong received an MFA and intermedia from the Concordia University and a BFA at Visual Art from Emily Carr University's Art and Design in Canada. Dong's artistic practice is based on performance art, photography, video, VR, and AR within the contemporary context of global feminism. Dong's work deals mainly with cultural intersections created by globalization and asks what it means to be a citizen in the world today. Dong's work opens dialogues about deteriorization and de-essentialization in culture and how to transform socio-political landscape through performative gesture. The gesture in Dong's works are symbolic and metaphoric, at times subversive, meditative, subtle, and humorous. They express Dong's desire to transform everyday's political life into art as Dong strives to install a model for social transformation. Chun is an award-winning artist and had exhibited her work across the globe and was listed as the 10 artists who are reinventing history by Canadian Art in 2017 and was named the Artist of the Year at the Donggang International Photo Festival in South Korea in 2018. Dong, welcome. Thank you again bringing your amazing work in our conversation today. I'm really looking forward to it. I will give the floor to you for your presentation. And after the presentation, we'll have some time to engage in conversation. So I'm very much looking forward to what you have to share today with us.
Okay, thank you so much, Tara. And it's always a great honor to have a conversation with you. You're my dear friend. You know, it's always nice to chat. So I'm not doing it like formally, and I hope it's okay just to do like informal. It's more about the sharing, you know. Okay, so I'm going to start to introduce myself by my own way. So if you don't mind, so I'm going to take charge of the share screen. This work is it reviews the social political implications of patriarchal value embedded in Chinese culture and the lived experience of East Asian shame culture. And in fact, at that time, when I was born and being a girl really was a mistake and I shame. And this is what I said to you is a true story, because when I was born, my father really said that to me. So every time when I watch this video, and I just feel very emotional. I'm very sorry about that. You know, I didn't know until I was like 15 years old, and my sister made a joke to me, and she would say, hey, you know, when you were born, our father said to you, and you are just another mouth to feed. And it hurt me so much, because, you know, you are only 15 years old. It's a time to explore your identity and find out who you are. And you heard about such kind of thing. And at that time, you never heard about feminism and what it is, you know. So you just have to swallow this pain by myself. And I remember at that time when my sister said that to me, and I walked out of my sister's home and walked on the street. It was a small city. It was, I think it's about 10:30 or 11:30 p.m. at night. So I was walking because I was thinking about how my father could have said that to me. And I started to feel something, but I found out a man who was following me for a long time. So I was walking. Then I found that my back had some like water, you know, just something who poured the water on me. So I turned around, and then this man was taking his thing, and he pees on me. So I was so scared. I was run away. It is really, really bad experience. And at the time, I realized how my father said that, and this man just peed on me. So that's my experience. Found out.
Chun, fascinating story. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everything is working properly.
Okay.
Was there any sound on your previous video, or it was meant to be silent?
Oh, so you mean in the center, right?
In the video, is there any sound on the video, or is it silent?
Oh, you didn't see the sound?
No, the sound was not coming through. So I just wanted to make
God, how
sure it's
come? There was a sound.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can go back and play it again. That's all right.
Can you try it again? Can you try it
Yeah.
again? Because the sound is very, oh my God. So can you hear?
No,
Can you hear?
I'm not hearing any sound. I can hear you, but not the sound from the video.
Okay, what is this problem then? Because
Hi,
I can.
Chun. Yeah, it might be if you go to the
Earphone. Maybe
Zoom.
can I take the earphone?
Yes, because you are using earphone, right?
No, can you hear now?
Yes, I can hear. Yeah.
Oh my God, so it wasted like 3 minutes.
It's all right. Let's watch the video again. We can work on it on the editing.
Okay, I think you can cut it, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't know it was like.
It's all right.
Okay. Okay.
I have a confession. I was born in January 2nd, 1975, in a small village of China, in a cold winter. I have a big brother, 7 sisters, and I am the youngest one. When I was born, my father looked at me and said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed. When I was born, my father said, I was just. When I was born, my father said, I was just another mouth to feed.
So should I repeat it again, or I don't have to repeat it?
So it worked perfectly. Thank you so much.
Okay, so finally it worked well. So I move on. It's okay. Well, I needed to repeat it to say this piece. So
You
okay.
can move on with your presentation.
Okay. So okay, that's fine, because otherwise I needed to repeat everything again. So the mouth is very important for me, as you know. So at that time, I was trying to find a way to mend and heal. So in 2012, I made a performance. It's called The Double. I invited like 12 young girls who wear this mouthpiece, which I made it, I cast it. And so they did, like, they repeated a couple of gestures and for 2 hours. For example, like that one, they were just leaning there, and also they stand up, and the shoulder was like up. It's like I show the struggle, and also so this one, which you can see it, and also they're lying down. They use these shouting gestures. This is the detail. And of course, we showed a couple of times in different locations. I remember this one I showed it in Slovenia, in Kolas. And I remember this man, and he walked there, and he saw these girls there. We have 16 girls there, and he just burst out laughing. So so we also made we did other performance in outdoor, which there's lots of mosquitoes, so this work is the mouth serves as the open for food and intake, and the articulation of sound and speech. And however, when the performers wear this mouthpiece, or when woman's mouth is forced to open, the mouth loses its function, and in fact, it is silence and disable women because they are unable to talk. When the mouths are widely and pulled open. So this performance is just shows another side of the unseen and unspoken, their vulnerability, the shame, and their struggle, and that we are uneasy to share. So later, in 2013, so it's my journey, how I try to mend, So in 2013, I made another work, which I never showed it in public. It's called my first TEDx. So so I still focus on mouth, and I will try to solving shame and associated with my childhood and through the childhood symbol, which is the stuffed animal. So what I did is I collect a lot of used stuffed animal. So I cut each animal's mouth. So I took the filler out, which you can see the bubble around the face. It means I took them out. So you can see this one. I'm probably had over 100 animals, and they all pulled out the mouth. You know, I cut them, and then after that, and I changed the mouth. So for example, I took the cat mouth and stitched on the monkey's mouth, and also dog's mouth in the bear's mouth. So I exchanged the mouth. So which you can see this one, this is dog and maybe had the bear's mouth. So of course you can see this the thread on it. This is, I think this rabbit has a pig's mouth. Yeah, so I took the photo again. So because what my father said to me, because I was just another mouse to feed, as a result, removing the mouse is removing the curse on myself. And also it's very painful because you can imagine when I cut the animal's mouth and I feel the pain as well. It's because, and I don't want to just be a mouth anymore, because I want to, by use other animals' mouth, I wish I could change my identity. So which you can see that. So this is the performance and show how I cut the mouth and sewing them together. So you can see I use the knife, which is very big, with kind of a typical like a Chinese knife, it's huge. I cut them. This is a show. And after I cut them, and I started sewing them together and changed the mouth and sewing them together. So this is how. Yeah, so I never showed this work because it's always because the famous artist whose name is Mike Kelly, and because he always used the toys and in his work. So, and I always feel that when other people use toys, and people always thinking about him. So, you know. So later, so at the beginning, I started to try to find a way to mend and heal. And later I started to fight, you know, so, and I just think, okay, I'm not just another mouse to feed. I'm a rainbow right now. But this it takes a couple of years. So this work is made in 2019 and 2021. So what I made a neon sign which says I'm a rainbow, of course, and here there's a little bear which I have there. You know, it's a cute little bear with kind of Asian like trees here. So and this little bear was making a wish. And also this bear's leaning kind of gesture is the gestures of corporal punishment. And also this bear, you can see have 4 ears. It can be regarded as mother and a child together, and offers kind of a care for the child. And also we can imagine it's a magical bear, because like any imaginary, like magical animal, and always have some unique things. For example, like a unicorn has a horn, but my unique bear has 4 ears. so yeah. And yeah, so I'm a rainbow. And also people asking me, just saying why it's pink, you know. And of course I have been deal with shame for a long time. And at that time I was thinking about what is the color of shame, you know, and what is the sound of the shame. So when I think about the color of the shame, I thought it's something internal. If something is internal, I thought about red. So I thought about if the shaming is red, so I wanted to dilute the color of shame. So if we try to dilute the colorful red, and then it become a pink. So that is the kind of like, so that's how it become pink. And also because so on the sign, so I would say I'm a rainbow, but here the bear and now it's become like abstract because so you will see I made like a neon lights circulated around the bear, which you can see that it's because I believe every child is a rainbow when the child were born. So that's how I believe. And then I don't know why then we are not a rainbow anymore and later, you know, but I believe the child, every child is a rainbow when they were born. But actually that's true, right? So we are every color and we are every hue. And also the another reason why it's rainbow is because it's from a poem by Emily Dickinson, which she said, shame is the shawl of pink in which we wrap the soul to keep it from investing eyes, the elemental veil which helpless nature drops when pushed upon the scene, repugnant to her property. Shame is the tint divide. I don't fully understand, but I like what she said. Shame is the shawl of the pink. So that's why another reason why I use the pink to say I'm a rainbow. Okay, this is one. Okay, so the last work I was trying to talking about is Mulan. Mulan is very new work I made. It's a VR work I made in 2002. So I'm gonna show you the video. Okay, so this is a very short video. So this is no sound, it's just like water sound, like under the ocean sound is there. So but you can see, so this is the VR documentation, but actually if you wear a VR headset and you will be inside of this environment and you can be part of it, you know, so you will be immersed by this whole environment, which Tara has seen, right, before in New York. So actually, I'm just talking a little bit more. So this work is inspired by Nude Brunch. I'm not sure if you have heard about the Nude Brunch. It's called a sea snug. It's like a tiny. Okay, maybe I should show you later. You can go. So the video is very similar. It's like spanning like so I'm going to show you. This work is inspired by this animal. They actually have lots of color. This one of them. This is called the Nude Brunch, and also people call it nudie, and it's also called the sea slug. It's like little tiny animals and they live under the water. So how beautiful they are! You know, they're very colorful, but and they become my new inspiration of feminism. It's because like many other like animal kingdom, you know, so the color is tried to attract the mate, you know, but in Nude Brunch, the color is not for that. The color is a warning sign. It's just saying, okay, don't close to me and I'm a poison. So it's like same. So okay, I am a beautiful, but it's not your business. It's no, you know, I'm a beautiful. It's just for myself, and it's so don't close to me, you know. And also, Nude Brunch is both female and male, so that's why they don't have to attract the opposites in in order to make, so because they can do that by themselves. it's the one body. So that's why I am very kind of inspired by it. And also the suggestions of Mulan, which you can see it here, oops. And it's inspired by Marina Abramovich's piece. It's called Rest Energy. So they kind of both like hold it, because one lose their hand, it could hurt somebody else. So so it's kind of like tension and balance and danger and trust, and the male and the female, and the two are very similar opposite but interrelated and depend on each other. So I used like a 3D VR tool and made the whole thing in VR, and so now Mulan is becoming part of this marina ecosystem, or we can see Mulan is Nude Brunch, or Nude Brunch is Mulan, because they are connected together, So Mulan becoming like what is that, like a symbiosis, or the hyperform, So this is the later is shown in the work, and the reason is the Mulan wear this colorful dress, but I have to say it's from the Peking opera, and the Peking opera has long history of a male actor as a female, because we know in older days the woman were not allowed to go to stage. So even though nowadays people still believe when a woman capable to play the opera because the lack of strength and something like that. So now in the Chinese opera, especially Beijing opera, they are still male dominant opera. So that's what I'm trying to say. So this is the work. I made it, and then people come here and just enjoy the VR, and then they will be inside of. So this is my presentation. Hope it's good.
Thank you so much, Chun. Fascinating. I didn't know the story behind your this recent VR video work. I had an experience to experience it in person a couple of weeks ago. So thank you. It's great to know the background story. Sorry for the noise outside as usual. But I know Jason is also here. I wonder if Jason wants to introduce himself and say something, give some feedback to Chun about their work. That'll be great.
Hello, Chun. Thank you so much for that, for sharing your work, the presentation, and the stories that go along with the work. I'm immensely grateful for Tara, their work in pulling this Decolonial Critic Lab together. I think spotlighting your work points to me just the value of having these conversations that really connect across all of the across different experiences, different artists, right? So that we can see all of these different ways in which we reckon with power and through creative expression. I think it was really impacted by the first your focus on the mouth.
Yeah.
And,
for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. And I think one of the things that I think it struck for me is kind of, about the way that some forms of violence are unspeakable. And that the way that you make that particular condition legible, right, by substituting mouths, accentuating mouths, eliminating, so, I think the way that you've put that into people's minds through those expressions is just really powerful. Yeah, and I, um, after seeing several other, artists this semester and thinking through the creative process, it's been interesting to think of the artwork almost as maybe not as important as the process of making it. And that in itself is some, and so in one sense I want to ask you about that, but then to also kind of foreground the performance part, because the performance part is kind of like sharing the making, right, instead of sharing the outcome.
That's
right
true.
Yeah, I don't know, is that helpful or constructive?
Yes, it's very helpful, because I was also about to say something very similar, performance as a process of making, because many of the, like two of the work you have showed, Chun, already from your earlier body of work, which are all very autobiographical process of making your work, starting from mouth to going into the soft toys and removing the mouth from the toy or replacing the mouth of the toys. But also in connection to this, I'm very interested, discuss a little more. When I was reading your bio, or like your artist statement on your website, the two words struck to me in explanation to your work as you're trying to explain is de-essentialization of the as a process or as a terminology you're using, de-essentialization, and global feminism, that your work is speaking to the global feminism. The work where you're incorporating the mouth, you can already see how that comes into the play, right? That experience of being born as an Asian woman, but also it's not limited for you being an Asian woman. There is a global perspective, global experience of being a woman in this world, and how you're being treated because of your gendered identity or gendered body. So the reason our talk is to the gendered body and decolonial identity, because I want to speak a little bit more about like what kind of made you excited to think about this global feminism as a topic, why you wanted to speak your experience of growing up in Asia and China, and experiencing your family's sexism, and conveying that and in solidarity to other women across the globe. If you can talk a little bit about that, that thought process behind.
I think I'm a part of it. And a part of it, so I was born in China, and of course, it's, so I cannot say I'm not a part of it, and I'm a part of it when I even was born, So, but I cannot say how I be part of it. But I just feel, it's important for me, and it's very important for me to say something I feel I related. And of course, I'm a part of this so-called the third world, the developing world, and I think if those people's world, especially women, the words needed to be heard, but we are not heard, actually, or people don't want to hear about it, because I found out in like a kind of Western society, maybe we only focused on ourselves, so other people's voice probably not that important, but I wanted to add this conversation on it. So yeah.
Right. Thank you. That's great to know. But also, like, if I go back on the second part of my very long elaborative question about the de-essentialization,
Okay.
what do you mean by de-essentialization? What kind, is it a method you are actively using in your work and building the concept of the world work? What is it like, if you can explain to us?
Yeah, that words actually, and I used it for a long time ago, and it's a big word, and I think I shouldn't use it, but somehow I didn't take it out from my statement. Yeah, that is a big word. So I'm not sure I'm able to articulate that part, but but I'm looking forward to hear what you thinking about it.
No, the reason it struck to
I'm
me is
very sorry.
essentialization. I thought of like
Mm,
essentialization of the body. Then I look into your work and I see
mm,
uh, the performative gesture of you performing as yourself on the first video and the performance pieces. Then it moves into um, a different territory when your embodied experience becoming a lived experience for all this women. Majority of them on the photograph, they are from the global north, I believe, or from like the Europe or from America. They are not the Asian women who are like holding these mouths and speaking for their experience in solidarity to your experiences, right? So is that what you mean by de-essentialization, by removing your experience and giving it a more and like putting it into a more wider perspective for anyone who have a experience of being a female, born as a female, being femme? Is that what you mean by de-essentialization? That yes, I'm Asian women who have this experience of sexism in my family, but I don't want to highlight my experience as an Asian woman. I want to put in the global perspective, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, that's true.
Right, great. Thank you. Also, I'm very intrigued to know a little bit about the magical world you're creating now with VR, like how VR came in play as a use of medium, because your previous practice is more performative and, like and gesture is very performative. And now VR itself is a performative thing when you experience it, but it's more tech heavy. You are like, this is not expected kind of medium someone might see looking at you. So how did you discover the media? What's your interest, fascination about it?
Yeah, and actually, I have been kind of interested in new media for a long time, but I just didn't get a chance to just sit down and to explore it, because in past like 12 years, I was just heavily focused on performance, and I traveled a lot, so really kind of didn't have a time. And I think it is because of the pandemic, you know. And and you cannot do performance anymore, and what do? You just stuck at home and in front of a computer and sit in front of a computer, and then what you do, it's just actually the reason I started to thinking about this is because I have, yeah, maybe you have already know, I have been doing a performance called I Have Been There for a long time. It's like travel based work. So but I couldn't travel anymore. So what I thought, okay, how about I'm going to do performance in VR, so I can kind of make like imaginary a world, and then I can do the performance inside of the VR and rather than the outside. So that's how I get started with VR. Um, so, and I also I like to learn things, and I think like me as an artist, I don't just regard myself as a performance artist, and I like apple, I like orange, I like pears, I like everything. So, so that's why I love performance, but I also love VR and AR and the new technology. So that's how I get started, and because of the pandemic, because I think the pandemic changes lots of people's work and the practice.
But also the fascinating part is strategy wise, it's working so successfully, right? You're creating this fantasy world, which is most like readable visual information you're giving me. It's a heavily looks like to, I mean, like a Asian fantasy world, those kind of situation. And then when I was experiencing it, I was in Brooklyn. So it's kind of very transporting. I'm like, oh, suddenly from this white cube exhibition space, I'm transported into under the sea, which feels like not in America, it's somewhere else, some in other part of the world. That's why I'm like more interested and fascinated about your VR using it. Is it a tool for art making, but also very successfully making is very transporter. Like when you are showing me that world is not reachable to me when I'm in Brooklyn, right? But I'm being transported to this world through this mediation of the technology. And that's what I felt like you did very successfully, like putting that global
Thank
south
you.
experience in the global north for a audience who might not even experience the dance ritual performance and how gender plays a role, as you were explaining it. To it, but also it's very interesting. You are also sourcing reference from very mainstream European artists like Marina Abramovic. Is that something you actively thought when you were designing those composition and the body that you were inspired?
Yeah. Because when I kind of thought about that, and I really wanted, because when you see Mulan, two of them, and actually it's one, because I just want to say, is one is unique, it's like a two side of one kind of a gender, like one can be male and female, and it can be both. So that's why I showed the two, but actually it's the one. And I also wanted, because they hold something, but actually they kind of depend on each other, because one lose the hand and they're all going to fall. So that's why we think about how our identity like interacted, and connected, and all kind of mixed. It's not just say male and female. Okay, this me, this is him. So it's just we depend on each other and all mixed.
I also want to know a little bit about that the sea creature, because I can see this continuation of for the small toy. The bear comes back to again and again when you describe yourself. So it's kind of like a very symbolic way of looking into the nature and finding your representation in the nature on this small, like teddy bear is like a cozy, comfy thing, right? Whenever you think about it.
Yeah.
And then the creature. Like what is the research process? How do you come across all this idea? Tell me more about it.
Oh, the bear, as you see my work, like before, it's called My First Teddy, which you can see I'm interested in like a stuffed animal, and I also wanted to use this teddy bear as a childhood, as a symbol for childhood, because when you think about it, the teddy bear, people always connected to childhood, So that's why how I choose this one, and I used like and I made like lots of different gestures, which this is one is is saying it's just like stop sign, like say okay, like stop doing it. So far, I think I have 5 different gesture, and another one it will come in, and then we'll do both like this. so they start to fight, So
And these are all 3D printed, right?
Yeah, it's all 3D printed. Yeah, it's like yeah, it was very interesting. And actually, when people talk about 3D printing, it's just oh, you just put it there and let the machine do it. But actually, it is not true. It involves lots of skills. Like the teddy bear, you make one and fail many times. And one time at the beginning, and I didn't know, and I would just make it. Oh, it's out of the material, and then but the machine is still like working on the air. So there's lots of things to learn. It's just another way to make sculpture like traditional way. There's lots of issues there, but yeah, but that's the thing. And of course, there's people always talking about
is 3D printing. I have a little bit of experience with 3D printing, though I don't work on 3D printing media, but it's at the same time people will think it's ready-made, it's plastic, it looks like ready-made, and it's very easy. As you said, people think it's very easy, but there is this huge amount of labor and intensive understanding of the design and software and patience also involves, which reminds you often of something handmade, right? But it's kind of like a make-believe situation. You are creating something looks like ready-made, but it's actually quote unquote handmade through mediation of a technology or like a robotic
Yeah.
labor, right?
Yeah, but it's also is kind of different from like you have like something you made it like a manufacturer, you know, you made in a bigger factory. That is the kind of different. But my teddy bear is each one I made by myself, and I have to change the filament and change the setting and do the design. You know, it's all work. You know. And so like that one need to take a long time, maybe probably like 8 hours to finish one, you know, but you still doing it. So you still need to sand it because it came out, it's not like this. It has lots of imperfection there, and you have support, you have peel them off and then sand it and make it smooth. So there's a lot of labor involved, and yeah.
Right. Jason, you want to contribute something else?
Yeah, I mean, this is so rich. I wanted to return back to Tara, your question about de-essentialization. And I loved what you said, Chun. And I thought that, you know, I wondered if there was also intention around repetition in your work, in the sense that you know, in some ways, you know, essentialization, it is the making of copies, right? Or that there is only one version, right? And the way that repetition occurs in your work has this way of kind of you know, showing that even copies are different, right? And like what you're saying about the bear too, like each bear that you create, it has to be worked on, it has to be, you know, brought to life. And and not that you're trying to say that every copy is even different, but that demonstrating, you know, that alteration to the essential one time, and then repeating that alteration, you know, across different stuffed animals, across different individuals. You have the lineup of it was 16 or 12,
I think
12
so.
women.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, I mean, you get, does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
it's really interesting information. Thank you. Yeah.
Well,
Because there's
yeah, please go ahead.
please go ahead.
No, sorry, Jason, sorry to interrupt you. If you finish.
Oh, I just wanted to add one other piece about the Nude Brunch, because I love that reference. And I was immediately transported into the ocean, and I am a lover of the sea. And you know, one of my favorite places in the world are kelp forests. And my kids are also like obsessed with sea animals and everything. So what was fascinating to me is to think, you know, about the way that you mobilized sex and gender of sea animals in that way. And it made me think about the ways that sex works differently in the ocean, in water, than it does on land. And that was such a you know, to me, you know, those expressions of bringing these two figures and showing, you know, showing us the not that there's gendered possibilities, but that it's there are just many expressions. It's infinite kind of you know, space of being.
Yes.
And so I don't know if I'm on track, but that was what those combination and the assemblage gave, you know, made me feel.
Yes, yeah, that's right. You know, so I'm really fascinated by it since the first time I noticed it and I read about it, and I was just, oh my God, this is really something for me. It's really my usable, you know. So that's why I started to trying to work on something, you know, and just find a way to transform it. So.
Right. And I feel like that's a very good place to end the conversation for today. Thank
you so much. I just hope it's okay because I told you I'm not that articulated.
You are very articulated. I have to go back to the very first conversation I had with another artist. It's kind of this, we are like, we have to be confident. We are very articulated. We all are.
Yes,
our work is our
absolutely.
Right? You are very articulated, and there is no question on that for anyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
so thank you so much.
Okay, bye. Chun.
Oh, yeah, Tara, can you stop the recording?